done right. Online and in person. Help is here. When I'm out for March Madness, you'll cover phone trade. People can get a free Samsung Galaxy S22 when they trade in the Galaxy. Any year, any condition.
Oh, I get it. So you can take your old phone that you've had for 12 years and loved every minute of and trade it in for something new that suits your life now?
That's right, yeah.
Then enjoy immediate success. Even though you'll never forget your old phone.
It's a great trade.
Life-changing.
Get a free Samsung Galaxy S22 with any Galaxy trade. Any year, any condition, even in the madness of March.
Assuming all NBA players want rates. It's like assuming State Farm doesn't have great rates.
Why do we have toasters if nobody's going to use them?
Surprising.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set!
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle once again. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400, the Midlands, heard around the world on the iHeart Radio app. And as I said yesterday, and as I will continue to say, this is the greatest 2 days in sports. Love the opening 2 days of the NCAA tournament. It may be the best collection of 4 days as we head towards the Sweet 16. We'll give you an update on that. By the way, I talked about books the other day that I'd like to see. Man, I can't wait to dive into Winning Time. Of course, you know I'm a Los Angeles Laker fan. HBO Max has that new docuseries, docudrama on Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jerry Buss, the Lakers, the 80s. Yes, sir. I like it. I love it. Give me more of it. Winning Time. I'll give you a review after I get a chance to lock in. But with the NCAA tournament underway already, locking into those matchups that have taken place, we will update you on that coming up here on the program in just a little bit. Also, we'll hear from Dabo Swinney. We will hear from Wes Goodwin some tomorrow, and then Brandon Streeter as well tomorrow on the Friday edition of the program. But the plan today to give you a good bit of Dabo Swinney today up in Tigertown was Clemson's Pro Day. We'll update you on some news on that front as well, plus a fantastic recruiting article over on our website right now for our premium subscribers on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. You can become a premium subscriber as well. Support the show, support the website for just $63.17 a year. Gamecocks, I said it. $63.17 for 1 year of coverage of your Clemson Tigers. Tiger Nation, come in and support us. Help us continue to grow. But I know with spring ball being underway, we've heard from Nick Eason. We've heard from Thomas Austin. We've heard from the rusty old dog, Mike Reed. Well, yesterday we had a chance to hear from Dabo Swinney just as we went off the airwaves, and we'll lock right into what Coach Swinney had to say here in just a few minutes. But nonetheless, again, with the NCAA tournament brewing, Clemson did release a statement on Clemson's head coach, Brad Brownell. And so for anybody that was hopeful that the Tigers would be making a move around, English, Swanee. English. Anybody hoping that Clemson would make a move, here's the letter that Graham Neff sent out to season ticket holders. Dear Clemson family, As we approach the beginning of March Madness and the most exciting part of the collegiate basketball season, I want to take a moment to share with you my views on Clemson, on basketball at Clemson. First and foremost, thank you for your support all season long. There were some memorable moments in Littlejohn Coliseum, and we are grateful for you all. We are grateful for all you do, to create an incredible atmosphere. We should all be proud of the effort, commitment, and resilience of our student athletes. They never wavered in the face of challenges throughout the season. Clemson Athletics has high expectations for all 21 of our varsity sports programs, and we do not and will not shy away from our pursuit of the highest levels of excellence and championships. This year's men's basketball season did not meet our expectations, nor those of head coach Brad Brownell and student athletes. There were a number of reasons for the results, but we realize this is a bottom line game. In the days following the Atlantic Coast Conference Tournament, Coach Brownell and I met several times to discuss the state of the program, potential offseason changes, and plans for next year that would return us to the NCAA Tournament. I have an ambitious vision for Clemson basketball, both the men's and women's programs, and what we can accomplish in the Atlantic Coast Conference and nationally. This is Clemson, and basketball is very important for our university and our athletics department. Aggressive investment must be present to achieve such intentions. And importantly, while we are willing to push in many areas, as Clemson's director of athletics, I am adamant that the academic success and integrity in all our programs are absolute non-negotiables. I am working with our senior athletic staff to focus further investment in our basketball programs, which I believe will pay dividends next season and beyond. While we've continued to make strides relative to our peers in support areas, facilities, and resources, we have room to do more. We must ensure we provide the necessary support staff, an exceptional student-athlete experience, strategy for an evolving name, image, and likeness resources, and the recruiting investment to not only be competitive, but to be excellent. Graham Neff's statement went on to say that our success also would not be possible without the support of Clemson fans to pack Littlejohn on a regular basis to create an unparalleled game day atmosphere and to get behind our student athletes who constantly display their effort, grit, and dedication to winning. Our staffs and student athletes are already hard at work at doing what it takes to work towards a successful 2023 season. Clemson is stronger when basketball is thriving. We are committed to winning basketball, and we will provide the resources needed to succeed. Go Tigers. And again, that's from Graham Neff, the director of athletics at Clemson University. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Be a part of the show anytime, any place, and anywhere. And, of course, we always appreciate you hanging out with us here on the program. Let us know your thoughts on Graham Neff's basketball letter. Look, if you read into it, what you will, if you read into it, it does seem like the onus is on Brad Brownell in 2023 to make it to the NCAA tournament. And again, it doesn't say that explicitly in the message, but it sure does. We realize this is a, quote, bottom line game. Sure seems significant when you hear those words from Graham Neff. So we'll see what happens down the road, but it does not feel like there is going to be a change made at Clemson as of right now. Now, looking back on it, this has been a bit of a theme throughout Brad Brownell's tenure at Clemson, including about 5 years ago, back in like 2017. I remember having conversations with Dan Radakovich about the coaching job, and we had him on the show to talk about, Brad Brownell's situation. And yes, Clemson ends up making a run in the NCAA tournament and gets to a Sweet 16. But, I don't know what the standard for Clemson basketball should be. I honestly don't know what the realistic expectations are. But, when I watch teams that play football well, like Alabama, like Auburn, like Michigan, like Ohio State. When I see other teams that play football well excelling in basketball, I get this like, why not us mentality? And whether that's fair to Clemson basketball or not, I can't say for sure. But I do. I get this, why not us? What is it about Clemson that has kept it from being a more consistent basketball program? And I think a lot of it is your investment personally. And some of you might take that as a personal shot across the bow, but I think there are a lot of people in Clemson that don't invest in basketball, don't care all that much about it. I think that's the starting point for reaching a high level of success. And I think that along the way, the coach or whomever the coach is, whether or not they are winning or losing with or without support, ultimately does fall on their shoulders. And so to give Brad Brownell another year or more, potentially, again, is indicative of a lack of support from the total fan base, which I think we all know. And then I think it's also indicative of the thought process that I've kind of grown into with Brad Brownell, is that is making a change going to take your program forward? Like that's the crux of the matter. If you are going to make a change, you have to be able to move forward. And if you don't really feel like there's somebody out there that fits that billing, then maybe you just stick with what you've got because you're fearful that without the proper person in place, or you're looking out and around, like maybe you're kind of scouting and vetting who's available before you make the move, because you don't want to make a move that sets you back. And it needs to be a person that can come in and take strides forward, build off of what Brad Brownell already has, not somebody that has to come in and say, well, look, I got to rebuild this thing, because you've been bad for so long. You don't have time for any setbacks or step backs, if you will. 803-450-0086 text line, phone line. Again, last night to finalize, and before I made my official NCAA tournament picks, I waited for the round of 64 because I have standards. I will not bend on that fact, and I had to wait until after midnight to make my selections, because it wasn't until St. Patrick's Day that the Irish were lucky enough to come out on top in double overtime. Notre Dame knocks off Rutgers 89-87 to enter the NCAA tournament. Wright State bested Bryant last night as well, 93-82, and that gave us our lineup of NCAA tournament teams 64, thus opening the magic key for me to be able to make my selections for this year's tournament. By the way, I'm zigging with the Zags all the way to the title. If you want to know my final four, I'll dive into that here in just a little bit. And again, what a wonderful day having games all across the board. We'll update you on scores, etc., from some of the early contests here in just a little bit. But yesterday up in Tigertown, as we mentioned, Dabo Swinney met with the media to talk about how spring practice is going. And today also in Clemson was their pro day. We'll have some audio from Dabo there as well. But first and foremost, here's Coach Swinney talking about preparations for pro day, etc., but more so ask about Brent Venables, who happened to be on campus this week.
Yeah, Brent's been here last couple of days, so I've had a chance to spend a lot of time with him and catch up with him. They're on break this week, so it's been good to catch up and talk through some things now that he's had a few days in the hot seat. That was fun. But yeah, a lot of recruits, a lot of people on spring break this time of year. So pretty much every day we got people coming through and got pro day tomorrow. So that's always a great day. Got 10 guys working out. So excited about, I think Coach Tomlin was out here already tonight. He usually always comes and catches the practice before the pro day. You can pretty much count on him being here. So excited to have him in town and a bunch of people here tomorrow to watch these guys.
Sweeney was asked about what he saw on the practice fields yesterday that really stood out.
We had a lot of good on both sides, and we had some bad. We had a couple. Probably the biggest thing defensively was just cost ourselves a few times. We lined up off sides, we jumped offside a couple times, and just some discipline things. And then offensively did a lot of good things, really, but just put the ball on the ground, got the ball knocked out a couple times, after the catch or after the handoff. And so that was probably the biggest negative, but really a very competitive scrimmage. Lots of good things. We got a bunch of guys out that aren't able to scrimmage, but we're able to put it together enough to where we can practice, so we can get the guys evaluated that we really need to get to work. And so it was a good day. It was a good day, and we'll watch the tape, and we got a lot to teach from. But these guys, the biggest thing, they've shown up every day with a good mentality, a good workmanlike mentality, and they've been very coachable. And we've put a lot in. It's hard to believe it's been 9 days. I mean, it seems like we just started last week, but it's gone really fast, and we've had a lot of fun. But we're progressing like we need to.
Sweeney was also asked about any players that that he kind of wished he would have had a chance to see out there playing good on good in that scrimmage. And here's what Coach had to say just about, the guys that are out. Even though he knows a lot about some of them, it still would be nice to have them out there.
I mean, I'd love to have Ship. I know what Shipley can do, but I'd have loved to have had him out there this spring to see some things. And EJ, we got guys on both sides of the ball, for sure. Sergio, I think he's going to be cleared once we get back from spring. But break's coming at a good time. 9 days in, we had some obviously guys out for the spring or limited for the spring, and then we've had some guys banged up within this past week. So hopefully by the time we get back, we'll be able to have more people available for our second scrimmage, and then hopefully have a good spring game. So these are critical moments. I mean, in football, you practice and prepare for this game more than you ever play it. I mean, if everything's perfect, we got 15 days out of the year that you actually get to play. So the other 350 you're prepared, and we're fortunate that we've got good people. So if you can come out here, you gain your confidence by being able to compete against Clemson. And if you can compete against Clemson consistently, hold your own, then that's where your confidence comes from game day. But that starts with showing up with a game rep mentality, and we got some guys that have that type of maturity, and some that don't. That still got a ways to go. But really, it's been a really good spring. I think the guys have shown up, ready to go every day. The leadership's been excellent. The accountability's been really good. Really a lot of focus on the basics, a lot of focus on the little things, and this is a good scrimmage to build off of.
Dabo Swinney was asked about the tight end position where Luke Price has had to get the bulk of snaps due to injuries, etc. And even though Price is known as a blocker, Dabo Swinney says he's taking the most of this opportunity.
Man, Luke Price hopes none of them ever come back. He's had a ball. He's gotten every rep, and it's made him better. I mean, he's doing a nice job. I mean, he really is. He's so conscientious. He's an unbelievably dedicated worker, smart as anything, knows everything. And so he's had just an opportunity to get a ton of reps. He and Blackston and Banks Pope, they've gotten a ton of work, with Brenny out. So, but Brenny will be back going. He was close today, so he'll be back by the time we get back from spring break. And it'll be a big 6 days for him, just got a couple of days in there, and then he got banged up. So with a hip pointer, but he should be good to go once we get back.
Dabo Swinney again after yesterday's scrimmage in Tigertown was asked about the wide receivers and if those guys have had any unfortunate drops like they did so many times last season.
The biggest thing is just getting the ball knocked loose. Take care of the ball. But we had a couple of drops today, but we had a couple of great plays. We've had more great plays than we've had bad plays. So when you rep as many guys as we rep, you're going to have some balls here or there. But man, we got a good group, and EJ's out, Will Taylor's out. Speck was out today, had a little sore wrist, but Stellato has practiced one day. Obviously Antonio and Cole aren't here, but it's been really good, man. I mean, we got a good group of guys. Bo and then God has been outstanding all spring, and just really proud of him and how hard he's worked. Him and Calipari and Bo. Specs had a really good spring, and then man, Adam Randall is just he's just gets better and better every day, and really hard to believe he's a high school senior. He made a couple big plays today, so I mean, all of them have had their moments, and Drew and Hamp, and that little Hampton Earl, man, those guys have done a heck of a job. And we got a really good group. They're all taking advantage of their opportunity and making plays. And we trust all those guys, be nice when we get everybody back this summer.
We'll have more from Dabo Swinney on the flip side. Stay with us on the show that shakes the Southland. Back at it on a Thursday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland, the NCAA Tournament opening rounds underway. We'll give you some updates on that. Earlier today, though, Michigan and the Wolverines, with Juwan Howard making his return, the 11th seed Wolverines knock off Colorado State 75-63 earlier today. We'll update you on some more scores here in just a little bit, but back to college football. Dabo Swinney yesterday after Clemson's scrimmage up in Tigertown was asked about the play of DJ Uiagalelei. Look, there have been a lot of concerns from Tiger faithful, a lot of concerns from people across the country about the way DJ's playing. Here's how Coach Swinney says that DJ is playing as he heads into his second season as the presumptive starting quarterback in Tigertown.
Outstanding. Had another really good day. Really proud of. Made some big plays, managed the game, took care of the ball. Good decisions, very accurate, and that's kind of what we've seen every day. And then Cade, same thing, man. Cade, I thought took a step today. Just growing in his confidence. The game's slowing down a little bit. He made some big plays, some nice throws. He's a very accurate guy. He's got a great presence to him. Billy Wiles is a really good player. Hunter came in and moved his group pretty well. Made some nice throws too. So, I'm pleased with that room.
Again, Dabo Swinney from Tigertown yesterday. He was asked about the tempo. And if you think back, like if there's a criticism of Tony Elliott as he progressed through his time at Clemson as the offensive coordinator, the statement might be made that people thought that the game slowed down. Like when and again, it had a lot of success, 2 national titles, 4 trips to the playoffs. It's hard to knock it, right? But Chad Morris's thing was tempo, and the long ball and the deep ball and challenging people downfield. And that expanded into this offense being Clemson's offense with Tony Elliott and Jeff Scott running it. And late in Tony Elliott's tenure, some people questioned the tempo and whether or not it was really as quick as it needed to be. And I don't think Elliott was willing to go so fast at the peril of making a mistake. He really wanted to know what the defense was giving him and try to take that, right? And according to Dabo Swinney, tempo, and according to Brandon Streeter, tempo are things that they're really working on in 2022.
Oh yeah. We wanted, really big emphasis on tempo and really being able to play and control the tempo like we want. And it's not just going fast; it's being able to vary the tempo and understanding when and where and how to do that through our cadence, through our just how we're getting the plays into everything. So we've changed a few things up, but the tempo's been really good.
Dabo Swinney was also asked about just the schedule, having a little bit of a break here and then getting back after it as they close in on the spring game. And here's what he had to say the coaches will be up to over the next several days.
Same thing, that, for the coaches that we'll grade this tape. We'll get through all that and kind of button up everything for the first 9 practices and then kind of chart out what we need to do to get what we need to get done in the next 6 practices. And we've got all the schedules and stuff done, but just kind of evaluate the installation schedule moving forward. When we come back, we got another full scrimmage. We got a half scrimmage, and then we got the spring game. So we've got 3 of those 6 days we get a chance to kind of play a little bit. So, just a lot of teach tapes, a lot of corrections, and then same thing for the coaches, man. Just kind of reset, refocus, refresh a little bit, and come back on Sunday night, the 27th. We'll have meetings, get back at it.
Dabo Swinney was also asked about the situation at middle linebacker, obviously with James Skalski moving on. Who's getting most of the reps? And Swinney at this point says, hey, look, it's really all of those guys kind of rotating through.
No, we're rolling those first four guys pretty consistently. They're all those top four guys. McGuire and Trotter and Monte and Simpson are pretty much those four, kind of splitting all those reps and competing and battling and doing a good job.
Of course, with Kobe Pace and Will Shipley on the shelf, Phil Maffa's been a fixture for this Clemson Tiger team at running back during the spring. And Swinney was asked if Maffa had any breakout runs that really showcased what he can do during the scrimmage yesterday.
Yeah, we did a nice little short yardage period. We had some goal line today, and he's catching the ball well. This has been really good for him. It's one of those positive consequences. One of those silver linings. With Kobe and Ship out. He's had a chance to really lead the group, be the guy, get all the reps of the ones, and it's been really good for him. We're gonna have. We stay healthy. These three backs are. This is as good a group as we've ever had. These are really just great people, great competitors, incredibly conscientious, great teammates, high character guys, and super talented.
The final thing from Dabo Swinney, sure to turn some heads around the state of South Carolina and the folks in the Grand Strand. His comments on Adam Randall at wide receiver.
He's rare. I don't know about you. I didn't see many guys at Pelham High School walking the halls looking like that.
Sammy.
He's bigger than Sammy. Sammy was a physical specimen, but he's just bigger. Literally, you could put him in an NFL locker room anywhere in the country, and you'd never pick him out. You might pick Renfro, but you'd never pick that guy. Adam Randall is, and the cool thing is he's just a kid. Like he looks like he should be in an NFL locker room and literally would fit no problem. But he's just a kid, and he just has this sweet spirit to him, and he's just learning every day. He's hungry. He's got what I call the eye of the tiger. He's got the eye of the tiger. It's very natural to him. He loves to compete. He loves to coach. He loves to be coached. He's really come in here with a great foundation, fundamentally and technically. He's one of those guys that has shown up ready to play, and we haven't had many of those guys over the years. Had a lot of great players, but we've only had. I'd put him in that group, I think we've had three guys show up in 19 years here that just get out of the way. They're ready to play. He's in the process of getting all the details down, but physically he's ready. He's incredibly gifted. So excited about that.
For that full audio, check out our YouTube channel. Just search for Clemson Sports Talk. We'll hit a quick break and come back and update you on the NCAA Tournament next. Rolling along on a Thursday afternoon, Clemson Sports Talk. Love that comment from Dabo Swinney just a little bit ago before the break, talking about Adam Randall and how he looks like he could fit in an NFL locker room. He's like, you would never pick that guy out. You might pick Renfro out as somebody that's not supposed to be there, but you wouldn't pick Adam Randall, again, the freshman out of Myrtle Beach, just looking the part. And it'll be exciting to see where he goes. For that full audio, again, our YouTube channel, easy way to get there, tinyurl.com/Clemson Sports TV. Or go to YouTube and search for Clemson Sports Talk. You'll find it there. You'll get the full shows. You'll get the audio from the post-practice and, baseball, softball. If it's a sport that's played and somebody gets interviewed, we have it for you over on our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, if you will. And, of course, if you love this show and you love what we do with our recruiting coverage, et cetera, on our website, for just $63.17, you can stand behind us and support us. That's 17 cents a day to say, Swanee, I'm with you. I got your back. And you also get 63 17 said on the air in the Midlands, the belly of the beast, Columbia, South Carolina, quite frequently. All right, so we mentioned earlier that today up in Clemson, it was pro day, and just some of the numbers. Nolan Turner's 40-yard dash, he ran back-to-back 4.44s. James Skalski repped 225 pounds 26 times during the pro day event. Of course, all eyes were on Justin Ross and just kind of checking him out from that standpoint to see, what Ross could do. Obviously, there are questions about his health concerns, just given the fact that his numbers were down this past season. Was that about DJ? Was that about Ross? I argued that I thought Ross should have come back, and I know it would have been a difficult choice for him because of the setbacks that he had. But, numbers-wise, I think he could have used a good year. And during their pro day event, Justin Ross did look pretty good out there, just in space doing work from what I was able to watch. But, it's one of those things where I think players have to make tough decisions. And Justin Ross, kind of given his timeline and his trajectory, may have needed another year, but there may not be any reason to deny him an opportunity. And he did look healthy today and went out there and proved it. Now, Andrew Booth is going to have some surgery. And I had heard a couple of weeks ago that Andrew Booth was a little bit banged up. He was unable to go through the NFL Combine workouts. He didn't participate in Clemson's pro day. And he's got a core muscle issue that he's going to have surgery on. So he's still projected to be a top 15 pick. But I had actually heard, I guess maybe, 14 days ago or so, that he was dealing with some issues. And that just continues to fester for the future first-round draft pick. 803-450-0086, text line, phone line. Be a part of the show anytime, any place, anywhere. Tight end Braden Galloway did go out and put in some work. He ran a 4.6 on his first attempt and a 4.65 on his second attempt in the 40-yard dash. Darian Rencher also worked out today, ran a 4.59 and a 4.65. Justin Ross ran a 4.56 and a 4.65. Skalski ran a 4.69 and a 4.77. Turner, as I mentioned earlier, with back-to-back 4.44s. And then Mario Goodrich put up a 4.64 and a 4.57, actually being the only guy that got slower in his second attempt. And then long snapper Jack Maddox ran a 5.14 and a 5.16. Nolan Turner also had the best vertical leap, jumping 37 and a half inches during the day. So, you look at it and you think about these guys and the opportunities that they've had to play this game that they love, and then to get out there in front of NFL executives and NFL coaches like Mike Tomlin, who was in attendance. And, it's a really big day. Here's some of Justin Ross following today's proceedings in Tiger Town, and he was asked about the emphasis that he put on working on his 40 time.
I trained for a good little bit. I trained about the beginning of February when I got shaved with my foot. So, yeah, I was putting a lot of emphasis on that.
Justin Ross was also asked whether or not there were any specific teams in the NFL that he had heard from more, say, than others.
I've been talking to the Steelers a lot. I've been talking to the Raiders a little bit too.
So he mentioned the Steelers and the Raiders. He was asked about Steelers coach Mike Tomlin, who was there.
Oh, yeah, he's a real good dude. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love him.
As for what those teams have told him, Justin Ross says, man, they just really want to see him out there playing.
Just want to see me play ball. Really just want to see me move around so that I can get in and out of breaks and run good out.
Justin Ross was also asked about whether or not he pays attention to the mock drafts, et cetera, that get shared around during this time of the year.
No, I don't really pay no mind like that, because at the end of the day, it's not on those people that's on the team. So I don't really pay no mind.
So Justin Ross says he doesn't really pay that any mind. One of the final things he was asked about was just his draft stock. And obviously what the injury did present to him was an opportunity to play more at the slot, to show he's a little more versatile, can play all the positions. And he says 100% that was a big deal. It really helped him out.
Oh, yeah, sure. Just so that I can play all over the field.
Are there teams that want to see a one certain position? They see it as an outside receiver or slot guy? Or?
Most teams see me as an outside receiver, but now that they know I can play slot too, so I'll probably get mixed around.
So there you go. Justin Ross again from Clemson's Pro Day. Clemson's media sent out some of the Pro Day notes just a little bit ago. Darian Rencher actually did 26 reps on 225 as well, along with James Skalski, as I mentioned. Balin Spector did 19. Nolan Turner and Jack Maddox both did 17. Justin Ross, Will Spires, Goodrich, Braden Galloway, and Andrew Booth did not compete in that. And again, as I mentioned, Andrew Booth did not compete at all during Clemson's Pro Day due to an injury. 803-450-0086. Wait a quick break. We'll come back here on the show that shakes the Southland in just a few minutes and put a bow on hour number 1. And unfortunately, no Tim Beret today. What? What do you mean, Swanee? Guess what? Retired Tim Beret, is working again this week, this time at the NCAA Tournament in Greenville. We'll be right back. Final segment of hour number 1, the NCAA Tournament underway today. Lots of action already taking place. The occasional upset as well. Don't want to bust your brackets just yet. Also, don't want to spoil anything if you got the old DVR purring at home, but I will give you some updates on some games that did conclude a little bit earlier, including Michigan beating Colorado State. The 11th seed Wolverines move on 75-63, a victory there. You also had number 4 seed Providence knock off South Dakota State 66-57 in some of the early action. So again, we'll continue to keep you updated on some of the scores out of the NCAA tournament as we have games tipping until 9:57 p.m. Can you believe that? 9:57 p.m. So we'll update you on other contests as well. Again, I'm zigging with the Zags. I'm taking Gonzaga all the way to the top. Now, James Skalski earlier today completed his pro day at Clemson. I know he's a fan favorite. Skalski was asked if he was happy about the numbers that he put up.
I was really happy with them. I thought I hit my marks and then exceeded some expectations in some places. Just felt really good, felt explosive, felt athletic. So,
Where do you feel like you exceeded maybe what you expected to do?
I think the vert, I did well in the vert, and then I think the 40. I mean, that was always a big question for me, people. But you know, I did a sub 4.7, so that's what I was looking for. So.
Skalski was asked jokingly whether or not he knew that he had a better vertical than Justin Ross.
Pro day, I mean, you know, you gotta when the football game's happening, everyone put their money on Jay Ross coming up making a play, not me. He's dunking on me every day of the week. But yeah, I mean, it was a good day for me. So
Skalski was asked about when his foot started feeling 100%.
Yeah, I remember I got to where I was trying to take. I was 6 weeks in the boot, or 4 really. So all of January I was home, just trying to train with my guy, doing everything I could. And then I got into Tampa February 1st. And by the 7th, I think I was doing everything and just really tested it out and getting after it.
James Skalski was also asked about whether or not this part of the process sort of bothers him, because it's really just a measures thing and not necessarily how you play in between the lines.
No, I'm definitely a ball player. That's who I am. That's who I've been. And so, yes, it can be frustrating, but then you go and you have a good day like I did today, and there's so much anticipation for today. And so it's just kind of big weight off your shoulders for it to be over. Now you can really just focus on ball, talk ball, and just get to what it's really about.
So there are some of the comments from James Skalski. Also, one of his best buddies there, Nolan Turner, we mentioned, ran the 4.44 back-to-back times. Here's Nolan Turner talking about his pro day.
Yeah, I was just excited to get out here really and just, at the end of the day, come out here and perform. I've been training for this day and for this moment for a while now. So it was good to, come out here and, perform well and up to my expectations and, hit a lot of the numbers and my goals that I was trying to hit. So fun day. But it's just good to come out here and compete, see all the guys, a lot of familiar faces. So it's just a fun day.
Turner was asked about his 40 times, again, back-to-back 4.44 40s, and whether or not that was the fastest time he'd ever run.
Yeah. I mean, those were consistent with the times I was training with, so I was happy those showed up, So I was pleased at the end of the day.
Turner was asked about where he did his training for the draft.
I trained at a place called XPE down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Tony Villani and Matt Gates, and there's had a lot of guys down there, big group, and they do a great job. Their program and training for this stuff. A lot of the combine drills, touching up on position work and stuff, and just with a big emphasis on speed and explosiveness. And those were kind of the things that I thought I needed to work on a lot. So that's why I went down there and trained with those guys, and they did a really good job. Definitely got out of it what I wanted to.
Again, Tony, famous for the shred mill that he's got, not a treadmill, but a shred mill, and actually is married to a girl I went to high school with, and we've had Tony on the program in the past to talk about, getting these guys ready for the NFL draft and the combine and getting ready for pro days, and it sounds like it really paid off for Nolan Turner. Turner was also asked about whether or not he kind of felt like this was like a stressful event, like maybe getting ready for an exam, just having to prepare for this moment and to go in there and perform.
Yeah, no, I didn't really feel any pressure, but I was kind of anxious to just get out of here, because I've been there's simple drills and simple times and stuff. We've been doing them over and over again. You just kind of want to see that number. So you're kind of anxious to, get out here and perform up to your standard, up to your expectations. And, I was just happy I got to come out here and do that. Just a little anxious leading up to it, but no pressure really.
So there you go. Some comments earlier today from Nolan Turner up in Tigertown. I got a chance to hear from James Skalski as well in all of those interviews at length. Every player that participated, that met with the media, we've got them up for you over on our YouTube channel. 803-450-0086 text line, phone line. Again, Clemson Sports Talk, anytime, any place, anywhere. We are available for you. And again, as the Clemson Tigers have a little break in their spring camp, they will have spring break and then ultimately come back and have, I believe, Dabo Swinney said earlier, 6 practices remaining. And, I think that fans are anxious as ever to get back out on the gridiron. Like, it's great to get back out there after you win a national title. But I think there's also this anticipation of what is Clemson going to look like in 2022 that has fans sitting on the edge of their seat for camp to come to a conclusion and then for fall ball to get here so that you can finally, get out there and see these guys on the gridiron, because last year's 10-3 season, while not a, quote, bad year, certainly by comparison to what you've seen recently, did feel like a bit of a letdown. But there seems to be a lot of confidence in Tigertown right now about what this team can be, a lot of confidence in the way DJ's playing, a lot of positive news about Will Putnam at center. So, I think in terms of just a new cycle of the football offseason, following that victory over Iowa State in the Cheez-It Bowl, it does feel like this Clemson Tiger team should be back up to speed in 2022. 803-450-0086, hour 2 of the program. Coming up right after this with a quick break. Stay with us for more of the show that shakes the Southland.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set! Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on one of the best days in sports, the Thursday of the NCAA Tournament. And again, tomorrow's great. But for whatever reason, I don't know. It's like this is the first big gift. Like if this is Christmas, this is the first big gift. And yes, you saved the best for last. But for me, whenever you just have game on top of game on top of game for the first day, it's just like, oh, man, so much to relive, so much to watch, so much to dive into. And I love it. I'll tell you one thing. I said this yesterday and earlier. I think it is the best day. But another day that used to feel like this to me was the Friday after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, when we would do a show like remote from like a local restaurant, and there would be a ton of games on, and you're just kind of getting into that holiday feeling, and everybody's out shopping, and people are coming into the restaurant to hang out and to listen to you do the show live, and you're doing like a big full day. I think we would do why would we do? Oh, I know why. Because I guess we were leading into the South Carolina Clemson game. We would do like a full day. It would just be a huge event, and that was awesome. That was always fun. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. But that was more fun for like me as the host of the show, right? And whoever else I was working with. That's what made that event exciting, was simply the fact that there were a bunch of people out, and you're out in the public doing the program and not behind closed doors and doing the thing at the palatial studios at Greystone Boulevard, or even at the home front, if you will. But yeah, and it's also neat too with the NCAA tournament. I thought about this kind of watching these games today to, for Greenville to be one of the host sites. I mean, that's a huge deal. And things don't get underway in Greenville until tomorrow, when Auburn takes on Jacksonville State, the 2-seeded Auburn Tigers taking on Jacksonville State at 12:40 on True TV. But, think about these venues and the fans in that area of our state that'll get a chance tomorrow to see that game. They'll get a chance to see Miami and Southern Cal. They'll get a chance to see Duke and Cal State Fullerton. They'll get a chance to see Michigan State and Davidson. Like, that's awesome. And our state for so many years didn't get to have the NCAA tournament here. And now we do. And that's, man, I can't imagine what the boom is for the economy there in Greenville. I know Columbia's benefited from the opportunities as well to host the NCAA tournament. So many great teams and players. And, I mentioned Graham Neff's letter to Clemson basketball season ticket holders earlier today, and it sounds like Clemson's going to stick with Coach Brad Brownell. I'll ask you a frustration, because, look, I brought up the fact that it's frustrating to see teams that consider themselves to be, quote, football schools, Ohio State, Auburn, Southern Cal, Alabama, Texas, all these schools that are in the NCAA the way. In his first year, they won a play-in game. And then they did not get into the NCAA tournament again until 2017. So essentially, 7 seasons. Now, I know you can't not count a victory in the first 4, but I do not count it. And that didn't count as a win. Now, you might have said you got into the NCAA tournament because of it, but still, that was all of Purnell's guys. And so for me, watching it a year ago, Clemson in the NCAA tournament, round of 64, knocked out by Rutgers, frustrating loss there. This season, the way it went, I can't imagine that after Graham Neff's letter to season ticket holders, that a non-NCAA tournament berth with what Clemson's expecting back in 2022 would be enough to keep Brad Brownell around. And again, I am witnessing or have witnessed, if you will, Rick Barnes at Tennessee, who would have been, if you backtrack it and figure out how to allow Clemson to hire him, okay? If you figure out just how to make that happen, Rick Barnes gets to Tennessee in his 3rd year there in the round of 32, in his 4th year there in the round of 16. They had the COVID season that got cut. They made it to the round of 24 or the round of 64 last year. They're back in the tournament today playing against Longwood. And that's 4 consecutive trips to the NCAA tournament at Tennessee for Rick Barnes. 4 consecutive. Brad Brownell has 3 total, and one of them, I think, doesn't really belong to him, quite frankly. And so, that's another part of the frustration that I have as somebody that's North Floor for life when I turn on the best day in college sports and maybe in sports. I'm watching the Tennessee Volunteers layeth the smacketh down on Longwood, and I'm going, how in the world is Rick Barnes doing this? And I got to sit there and watch Clemson do nothing in March. Sit at home and watch it just like me and you. Oh, it is beyond frustration. Beyond frustration. Maybe I should say frustrating. I think that's probably, I probably need to say the verb there. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086, text line and phone line. And again, the games got rolling early today, and I can't lie to you. I had it dialed up. I did. I have been waiting for this day, and I had it dialed up, and we've got a lot of games remaining. Tonight's matchups include number 12 seed or 12th seed New Mexico State taking on 5th seed UConn, 6:50 on TNT. Kentucky at 7:10 taking on the 15 seed St. Peter's. 5th seed St. Mary's taking on 12 seed Indiana at 7:20. 7:27 San Diego State and Creighton. The 4th seed Arkansas Razorbacks taking on Vermont, 13 seed at 9:20. Murray State and San Francisco at 9:40 on CBS. UCLA and Akron at 9:50 on TBS. Kansas and Texas Southern at 9:57. That's the final tip-off of the night. But earlier I told you I would give you my picks and how I think this whole thing is going to shake out. And I said earlier this week, and I took a little heat on social media for it, I'm zigging with the Zags. I'm leaning in on Gonzaga. The heartbreak from a year ago, to me, I think is the thing that's going to carry them. I think when the going gets tough, the tough will get going. And I think Gonzaga is going to win it all this year. I think this is the season for Gonzaga. So I've got Gonzaga moving on to face Memphis. I think Gonzaga beats Arkansas. I think Gonzaga puts the end to Mike Krzyzewski's career in Duke. So I'm riding the Blue Devils into the Elite Eight. And I think Gonzaga will face UCLA for the right to go to the championship game. And I think Gonzaga beats UCLA again this year and moves on to the championship. But I will say I highly doubt that Gonzaga's advancement at the NCAA tournament this year to the finals will be as exciting as it was a year ago. With 10.9 seconds remaining, Gonzaga led UCLA 90-88, and then this happened.
Juzang again with the ball in his hands, in the paint, floater, short, got it back, ties it with 3. Gonzaga has time to do something. Suggs for the win. Oh, yes! Unbelievable! Unbelievable!
93-90, the final score a year ago, sending Gonzaga to their second ever national title. And I think in their third appearance in the national championship game this year, they are going to win it all. I've got in the East region, in that same side as Gonzaga, I've got Baylor working their way down to that matchup with UCLA. I think ultimately the Bruins advance there. You could just, I guess, call that the John Wooden special. And then I've got Purdue beating Kentucky. I went back and forth on this. I've got Purdue advancing past Kentucky. I think UCLA beats Purdue. And then again, Gonzaga over UCLA, having Gonzaga on the left side of my bracket into the championship game. Over on the right side of the bracket, I rode the Kansas Jayhawks all the way. I think Kansas Gonzaga for all the marbles. And again, I think Gonzaga is going to win it. I took Kansas over Texas Southern, obviously, then Creighton. I've got them beating Iowa. And then I think the Auburn Tigers and Bruce Pearl are going to make a run in this tournament. I think they're a little bit vulnerable in game 2 in that matchup. I've got them facing Southern Cal. But if they win that game, Wisconsin won't be easy either. But I do think that you're going to run into Auburn and Kansas for the right to get into the Final Four, and I'll take Kansas over Auburn there. I also rode Tennessee, by the way, and Rick Barnes all the way out to face Arizona into the Elite Eight. So I got Barnesy into the Elite Eight. I think that they will beat Tennessee if they face them. When they face them in a couple of days, if they hold on and win today against Longwood. And then ultimately, I think Tennessee over Ohio State. Kind of waffled back and forth on that one a little bit like I did the Southern Cal Auburn game. I struggle. Let me tell you what I struggle with the NCAA tournament. Not going to lie. I struggle trusting the SEC. I do. Like I tend to trust the ACC more, and this year not as much as normal, because I don't think this league was all that strong this year outside of Duke when they're playing really good basketball. And even this season, I don't totally trust Duke, but they're the pony from the ACC that I had to kind of ride. But like I struggled to take Kentucky, and that's why I had them losing to Purdue. I struggled to take Auburn past Southern Cal and Wisconsin, but I leaned in because you kind of have to pick somebody to trust. Couldn't trust LSU. Don't really trust Tennessee, but I kind of had to go with them here this season because Michigan and Ohio State out of the Big Ten, 2 teams I think they'll have a chance to face off against, I think are beatable. And I think you see today, just kind of watching this Tennessee team, they're a pretty well put together ball club. And I actually had Villanova getting upset, so that opened up a path for Barnesy. So again, my Final Four: Gonzaga, UCLA, Arizona, and Kansas, kind of a Western affair, if you will. And I've got Gonzaga and Kansas for all the marbles. I got Gonzaga bringing home the championship, and I got them winning that game like 83-80. I think it's close. I think it's going to be a close ball game, something like that. But, yeah, I think this is Gonzaga's year to cut down the nets and win a championship. And I know I didn't walk you through every single game. Just give you some thoughts on some other teams. Like I do think North Carolina ends up beating Marquette. I think the Tar Heels advance, and then they're knocked out by Baylor, the defending national champions. As far as some other local teams sort of looking around the docket or teams that might bring interest to you in terms of conversation. As you know, I didn't advance to Miami. I had the Miami Hurricanes. I had the Hurricanes losing in the opening round to Southern Cal. Let's see. Anybody else? Notre Dame. Actually, I struggled with this one, but I trusted the SEC a little more than I normally would. I took Notre Dame to get beat by the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I think the Tide get knocked out by Texas Tech. So I know that's not my full bracket. I'm not going to sit here and give you 63 picks, but I will say I feel pretty good about what I've got together so far. I feel pretty good about Gonzaga winning the national title, and who knows? Maybe they lose the opener, and all of a sudden I got egg on my face, and I just have to cry myself to sleep. But I get the sneaky feeling that Mark Few is finally going to get a chance to cut down the nets. His long drought with an incredible run of trips to the NCAA tournament finally culminates with a national championship. With a quick break, stay with us for more of the show that shakes the Southland. It is the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk on a Friday afternoon. Oh, not a Friday. I felt like it feels like a Friday. I was actually off from the day job today. On a Thursday afternoon, hanging out with you. And one other thing, too, I do want to say, again, we've been talking about the NCAA tournament, and I mentioned the fact that I did not ride the Kentucky Wildcats past Purdue. You know, I know that Gamecock fans who listen to this show probably have some frustration with me with some of the takes I have, but I just tell you how it is, right? I mean, I try to be honest with you. And I said here the other day, and again, I don't know what will come of this season for the South Carolina Gamecocks and their head coach, Dawn Staley, who has been phenomenal. She has made them into a power, maybe the second best program in the country. I don't know that there's even a necessarily an argument against that, right? I don't know that there is an argument against that fact. But I do want to throw this out there because I said here on the show a few weeks ago, I think if Dawn Staley doesn't win a national title this year, then I think that you, at least as South Carolina Gamecock fans, have the right to not, listen, you're not going to come out with pitchforks and say, we need to fire Dawn Staley. No, you're not going to do that. But I do think you have the right in that moment to say, hey, are we underperforming as a program? And it's a bitter pill to swallow, right? Because she's made this program into what it is today. More so than, say, John Calipari at Kentucky. But if you simply look, and again, Dawn Staley takes over in Columbia in 2008. Calipari doesn't get to Kentucky until 2009. But all that talent that's come through in Lexington, Kentucky, and John Calipari has won national championship. One. And I bring that attention to you because Dawn Staley, all the talent she's had, and look, their resumes aren't overly dissimilar when you talk about what they've done in terms of success at their programs. And again, it's kind of tough to tabulate this a little bit because of the way they are set up. But what I did was I tried to compile it. Both Dawn Staley and John Calipari have a single national title. They both have 3 total trips to the Final Four, if my numbers are correct here. Dawn Staley has 4 Elite 8 trips. Coach Cal has 5 Elite 8 trips. Dawn Staley has 8 Sweet 16s. Cal has 6 Sweet 16s. And I didn't bother compiling the round of 32 and the round of 64, but I can tell you with just a season difference between the two, with Staley having 1 additional year, they have both been to 11 NCAA tournaments. I mean, Their resumes are very similar, right? And what would the conversation, or what is the conversation about John Calipari? It's that, well, he's underperformed with all the talent that he's had in Kentucky. And this year, he's one of the top seeds. Not the top seed or even a team that people necessarily expect to win it. But I was looking at the tournament pool, if you will, that I'm in, just to kind of lay eyeballs on if anybody had Kentucky winning it all in the league or in my pick 'em. And there's actually one person out of 18 that has picked Kentucky to win it. So far be it for me to be overly critical, or anybody to be overly critical of John Calipari at this point in his tenure at Kentucky, and be willing to look past Dawn Staley, right? Like, sure, could Dawn Staley go get a national title this year? She may very well do it. And that would give her 2. That would be more success than Coach Cal's had at Kentucky. You also have to give her credit, again, for building a program that was nothing into a power. Like, Cal inherited Kentucky, a traditional power. And so that is kind of a benefit or an advantage that he's got by comparison to her. But their resumes are eerily similar. And Cal gets heat for not winning enough titles. And you just wonder at what point, if Dawn Staley and the Gamecocks, the Lady Gamecocks, were to be eliminated from the NCAA tournament and not win a title again, like, at what point is, yeah, it's amazing to be as successful as we are, but we got to win titles, coach. And you know that's how Kentucky fans feel, right? Like, Kentucky fans, I guarantee you, yeah, they're excited that they've got Coach Calipari because they know they're going to have a good team. But I bet you if you say, do you feel like you've won enough? They'll say, absolutely not. We haven't won enough titles given the talent that has come through our program. And that would, I mean, it's like, do you label that a disappointment? I don't know how you can, but it certainly is a surprising result, I think, for people, given the level of talent that John Calipari's had. And I'll take it one step further, where I can put a little more heat, if you will, on Dawn Staley. And I'll say this: while the women's game is improved in terms of the spread of talent across the country, the reality is the level of competition outside of maybe the top 8 or 12 teams feels like a big drop-off versus college basketball, where you're going to see some significant upsets in the NCAA tournament. You're going to catch some teams from lower levels with some key upsets. You don't really have that kind of diversity of talent spread, in my opinion, in women's basketball. 803-450-0086. Gamecocks, if I'm out of bounds, you let me know, or am I all over it? 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Be a part of the show anytime, any place, anywhere. It is Clemson Sports Talk. So if you say Coach Cal's overrated, or you say Coach Cal's underperformed, or whatever comments you want to have about Calipari at Kentucky, I am hard-pressed to hear those conversations if you can at least consider saying the same thing, perhaps, for Dawn Staley in Columbia. It's a crazy take, but the numbers seem to bear it out. Stay with us for more of the show that shakes the Southland. Rolling along on a Thursday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland. NCAA tournament results coming up for you here in just a few minutes. But I started thinking about our schedule, and again, with Tim Beret being out, I probably should have done this in the opening segment of hour 2. Tim Beret's working at the NCAA tournament games, and so I thought about this, and I said, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, my best bet with tomorrow, we'll have Clemson Tom on, and I want to play Wes Goodwin, is that we dive into some Brandon Streeter from yesterday up in Tigertown here in the back half of the show. So a little flip-flop on you. Brandon Streeter talking about what he's seen from, or what he knows about, this Clemson Tiger offense after 9 practices this spring.
I would say first and foremost, we got a lot of guys on offense that have a lot of want to and are very, very excited about getting better. And that's honestly, that's the the first thing that you look for in a kid is just how bad do they really want to get better, how eager are they, and so I've really learned that from these guys as far as their work ethic and want to. I think that's a big starting point right there, and I really felt like our guys have learned a lot of stuff in 9 days. So they were able. What we do as coaches, we try to really stress on these first handful of practices to see what they can absorb, game plan wise, and what we're installing. And they did a really good job for the most part. I mean, there's definitely some mistakes that everybody's got to improve on. But for the most part, I just told them that they retained a lot. And when you have a lot in your mind, sometimes it's harder to play fast. But for the most part, they've been able to do that and been able to lock into the daily focus. And so just really proud of them for that. Obviously execution is what you're looking for on an offense. And, we're not nearly there yet. But, hey, I'm very pleased with where we're at, as far as, halfway or a little more than halfway through spring ball. I am pleased with the guys' work and where we're at, absorbing the stuff and just being able to retain a lot of this stuff. So.
Streeter was asked about Cade Klubnik, the freshman quarterback, and the comparisons that Sweeney made to him, like Deshaun and Trevor Lawrence before him.
He's been very, very good. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. He's a very smart kid, and it's always a big test for these young guys that come in here mid-year. And they come in here for a month and a half of school, and then all of a sudden, bam, here comes spring practice. So it's a lot of being overwhelmed early on, and he has handled it very, very well. And the tough thing is, we can't meet with them for hours upon hours as coaches just because of the rules. And so he's done a great job of working hard to learn it and learn it from the other quarterbacks. Other quarterbacks have helped with that process, and I take pride in those guys being able to help each other out and encourage each other. But Cade's done a very good job. There's always going to be something early on in the process of learning, the learning curve, so the footwork is usually the one that is lacking the most because they're trying to piece together the footwork, the concept, and the protection, and just a lot to think about. And then sometimes they just lose focus of their footwork. So that's something that will always improve in a player, especially the more he gets reps. And so we overloaded him a lot with reps, which is what he needs. He needs a ton of reps so that he can make mistakes, and then we can go learn from it. And he's done a really, really good job of that.
Streeter was asked about what stood out from the scrimmage yesterday as well.
Man, it just shows that we can be explosive. I mean, we can get the ball down the field, and we can be explosive in the run game. But I felt like, throwing the ball down the field, guys were making some plays. We missed some plays, obviously, but we got some guys that can do it. And our guys up front, there's plenty of guys that I can talk about up front that did a great job of protection. And I felt like the quarterbacks did a good job of making good decisions. We had a few, mishaps, maybe decision-making wise, but I felt like our offense can be super explosive, and it will be.
Streeter also brought up the tempo topic that we mentioned earlier, and here's what he had to say on that front.
Man, just emphasizing tempo, getting lined up, all right, getting our hand on the ball, getting set, having that pre-snap intensity. And so we can always work on that for sure. But I felt like our tempo was pretty good at times, and it's partially on me too on how fast I.
Streeter was also asked about Adam Randall, the freshman, and the big play that he had during the spring scrimmage.
Adam has had a great spring. He is a big, obviously you can see that, but big receiver that physical, great hands. And kind of like I said in the beginning, when I think of Adam Randall, I think of grit. I think of a guy that's working his butt off, and he's probably like, I can't believe I'm getting this many reps, Like he is working his tail off. A lot to clean up technically. He is doing a great job of, again, retaining it and then having that big body. I mean, he's got to be 222 pounds right now, and he moves. And so he's been really special this first half of spring.
Streeter's also excited about what he's seen from Maffa at running back.
No question about it. I'm very pleased with Phil. Phil, we challenged him, when we started spring that, hey, you're going to take a big workload, But it's such a great opportunity for him to get a ton of reps with that first group. And I'm telling you right now, that kid has been incredible. And I know CJ would think the same thing, but I got no reservations about him in the game at any time. That kid is explosive. He's big. He's physical. He's smart. He understands the offense. He'll protect. He can catch the ball in the backfield. And so he's done a very, very good job. And he's such a quiet kid that just goes and works. He just goes and works. And he's just a pleasure to coach.
Final thing, Streeter was asked if Cade Klubnik was pushing DJ at all.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a battle yet, but of course he's pushing. I mean, I think all four of the quarterbacks that are taking reps are pushing each other. And that's what I talked to all four of them about at the beginning of the spring is just, man, we're here to get each other better. There's no automatic starter. That's not how it works. That's not what our program is about. Our program is about earning it. And what's happened in the past, you got to re-earn. And so that's a big philosophy of our program. And I'll tell you what, first off, DJ has done an incredible job between the bowl game and spring ball and getting his body right, getting his mind right, and going to work. And I'm really, really proud of him for doing that. And I wouldn't expect anything different, no excuse guy at all, and he just goes to work.
So there you go, Brandon Streeter giving you an insight or a look at the quarterback, can't say battle, the quarterback position, if you will. We'll hit a quick break and put the ball on the show next.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Thursday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland. I hope your bracket is not busted yet. Shouldn't be. There's been a lot of craziness going on. This is the great conundrum that I think you deal with the NCAA tournament. Like, some people will say, well, I'm not going to pick all chalk. Well, I respect that, except for one major thing. When you fail to pick all chalk and you try to pick upsets, then what tends to happen, at least in my experience, is you get sort of the converse thing where you pick this let's say 10 seed to be the 7 seed, and then they don't. So let's say you pick San Francisco over Murray State and they don't win. But then what ends up happening is some other 7-10 flip-flops, and then you've lost 2. And I'm not telling you to go all chalk, right? But when if you're going to pick upsets, it can't be simply because, well, I believe there'll be an upset. It's got to be, you got to have some conviction behind that upset, because if not, you're destined for a flip-flop, and that can be doubly painful when it comes down to tabulating wins and losses in the NCAA tournament. Baylor, the defending national champions, the number 1 seed, knocked off Norfolk State earlier today, 85-49. Matthew Mayer scored 22 points for the Bears. You also had number 4 seeded Providence in the Midwest region. By the way, Baylor's in the East region. Providence in the Midwest region took down the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, 66-57. That was actually a pretty tight matchup. Those two teams, I think, played like 12, 13 minutes without a stoppage in action to start the ball game. Then you had Boise State losing to Memphis, the 9 seed. The Memphis Tigers 64-53. DeAndre Williams for Memphis scoring 14 points. And then Michigan, the 11 seed, knocked off number 6 seeded Colorado State 75-63. Hunter Dickinson scored 21 points for the Wolverines. And, of course, that was the return of Juwan Howard, as he had been suspended following the incident that took place earlier this season, when he got into a little brouhaha with the Wisconsin coaching staff. Also today, Tennessee, as I mentioned earlier, Rick Barnes, an impressive opening round performance, 88-56, the final score over Longwood. Tennessee advances, and so we're starting to get some games in. North Carolina and Marquette on the court currently. Gonzaga and Georgia State also facing off. Coming up at 6:50, UConn and New Mexico State. You've also got the biggest upset to start the day, Richmond taking down Iowa, the 5 seed, 67-63, a tight ball game. Controversial potential missed call late in that game with just under a minute to go, a potential tying three-pointer where there was a clear foul, missed call, no call, as a matter of fact, and that ultimately helped the Spiders advance. But Iowa found themselves in a tough spot, and that's on them, unlike the North Carolina Tar Heels, who got out to a 22-point lead at one point, 43-21, I think, with about 3 minutes to go in the first half of action. One of the last times I checked in on that one and wrote down the score. You talk about a blowout city. And then maybe, just maybe, could Georgia State, could the Panthers, who came into Clemson earlier this week on the diamond to beat the Tigers 6-1, could they be the second 16 seed to beat a number 1 seed, as they were just trailing Gonzaga by 2 points at the half and led quite a bit in the first half of action. The Zags, who I'm zigging with all the way to the championship, with just a 35-33 lead at last check at the half of that game. So the NCAA tournament is upon us. A little programming note for you. Tomorrow, I've got a appointment that I'm going to have to be at, and so I don't know exactly how up to the minute the show will be in terms of the NCAA tournament, if at all, but I'll do my best to give you as much of an update as possible, as I am going to be out of pocket, I guess you would say, during showtime, but we will have the show up for you. So again, thank you for hanging out with us here today on a Thursday afternoon. And as I said, a big day in sports. By the way, North Carolina, I think eventually, and by the way, Shaka Smart got a technical foul early on in this game, arguing about walks, a couple of what he thought were travels from the North Carolina Tar Heels, but even more so, the fact that Marquette ended up finding themselves down by like 25 points in the first half. Tough sledding in the second half for Marquette in that one. But again, just kind of checking out the games around the country. A lot of excitement, but nothing more exciting than seeing a major upset as the 12 seed Richmond Spiders advance past the Iowa Hawkeyes 67-63. Richmond will take on Providence on Saturday. So they'll advance to take on the 4-seeded Providence Flyers. We got to get out of here. Always appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with us. Again, our website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Go check that out. By the way, one final thing. The Browns apparently do not want DW4 Deshaun Watson. That's apparently out there. And Baker Mayfield, according to reports, has asked for a trade. So Deshaun apparently not interested in playing in Cleveland at last I saw. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Until then, as always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers!